Here's what's coming up on Beacon Retirement Strategies.
And most people don't have a special account. Now that's our healthcare costs for, $500,000 just in case. But Medicare and medical costs are going up much higher than regular inflation.
There are 2,800 rules that apply to how you and your family take Social Security. And Social Security is going to account for somewhere between, on average, 20 to 30% of your income needs.
And at Beacon, it's not a one-size-fits-all house. Everybody gets the same portfolio, or everybody gets the same income plan or tax plan. It's custom to you, and the blueprint is really just a guide that helps walk us through how to build your financial house.
And now the hosts of Beacon Retirement Strategies, Pete Benson and John Maxson.
Hey guys, super excited for this week's show.
Yes, we have 30 minutes of power-packed information just for you.
So don't go anywhere. The show starts right now.
Gentlemen, this week on the Roundtable, we're going to be talking about something really important. I love bringing up the plan, the proprietary plan that comes from Beacon, and that's the Beacon Retirement Blueprint. Let's start with you, Pete. What are the aspects of that people need to know about? Because what you do is different than the rest of the financial community.
Sure, and the first thing that we want to mention is that it's a custom plan. I mean, if you live in a house anywhere, or apartment or townhouse or whatever, you're blessed. So you got a roof over your head. But most people, if money wasn't an issue and they could pick, they would want to design their own home and kind of have a blueprint and have it custom to what their needs and what their passions are. And at Beacon, it's not a one-size-fits-all house. Everybody gets the same portfolio, or everybody gets the same income plan or tax plan. It's custom to you, and the blueprint is really just a guide that helps walk us through how to build your financial house, including an income plan, investment plan, health care plan, tax plan, estate plan, a blueprint that matches what you want out of your retirement, not what your neighbor wants, your dad or your mom or somebody else wants. It's what you want, a blueprint that meets your needs, your expectations, and fulfills what you've earned all these working years. It's called retirement.
And John, doesn't every advisor do this? Go through the tax and the fees and the legacy and the health care? Doesn't every advisor do that?
Well, I'll let consumer surveys best answer that. So surveys indicate 83% of people in America today that are retired are concerned about their future. So what that tells me is only 17 have a high degree of confidence. So very few people come into our office that they truly understand how much risk they have with their investments, how much income they can legitimately take each year without potentially causing an issue at a later point in life where they probably don't want to go back to work. They don't understand the tax ramifications of the different types of money that they have, nor do they understand the need or have an advisor that really helps them walk through the need of making sure that they protect everything they've worked a lifetime for. So I wish the case was that 80-90% of people had that, but unfortunately it's very few.
So I know that we're going to be asked, why? Why don't other, because financial advisor, Pete, it's a very broad term.
Sure.
It encompasses a variety of different designations and the like, but why don't advisors do this full analysis and provide you a written plan?
Well, part of it is I think there's a lot of great people out there, and they want the best for their clients, but they're not at a place where their firm is large enough and has, enough people and experts to really help with that. It was something that John and I, over really 2 decades, had to build up over time. So there was a time when people came to us that all we could help them with was investments and income. But as they asked us about other things, John and I would talk and say, man, I wish we could help them with that, because they trust us with the other parts. So we need to find an expert. We need to find a teammate that can help us with the health care, the estate planning, and the tax, and so on. And so piece by piece, over a couple of decades, we were able to build that. And so now we don't have to farm it out to other people or refer it out to other people, where they may still get good advice, but it's not that collaborative effort where we're all talking to each other as part of the team and working on the plan. So again, your question, why don't they? I think they probably wish that they could, but their firm is maybe not at a place where they have enough employees or enough experts, or it hasn't grown large enough to be able to do that. And there are people out there that do work in large firms, and maybe all they want to do is help with the money, because that's really what we get compensated the most on. And then they're happy to just refer everything else out to other people. We're not. We want to be able to work as a team to meet their needs.
Pete, John, thanks so much. If you're looking for a company that has the resources to do a holistic approach for you, give us a call right now. Let's set up a visit, or go to our website. And don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You're watching Beacon Retirement Strategies, Nashville's retirement television.
John, one of the things I love hearing around our office from clients is that they love the full service, comprehensive approach that we have.
Well, it's been a game changer for our clients and for prospective clients, because they can come to one place and meet with all these guys.
Yeah, I've found that clients find a lot of value in the estate planning area, having the opportunity to meet with a tax professional or a financial professional all in the same room most of the time. It allows us to set up a more thorough plan for them.
And they have a lot of questions about health care and that too, Dan.
Now that we have Frankie in the office doing health care, he can do Medicare, he can do standalone plans if you want to retire before the age of 65. That's complicated.
Yep.
There's some great plans out there. A lot of people don't know there are because it's too complicated. Now we have one person in-house that can really research all of those, who's fully independent.
The number one thing I'm asked when people come in is, what is a tax-efficient planning strategy? And what I talk to them about is, how do you get some tax-free assets, whether it's Roth conversions, Roth IRAs, other ways of getting tax-free assets. What we're trying to do is make sure that people are able to keep more of their hard-earned money.
How would you like the opportunity of being able to sit around a table in one office and be able to have help all in a good comprehensive plan for taxes, health care, income, estate planning, investments, and all of that? Well, guess what? You can at Beacon Capital Management. Give us a call. We'd love to be able to meet you and help you in any way that we could. 615-436-6000. Give us a call. All of us would love the opportunity to be able to help you and your family.
You're watching Beacon Retirement Strategies, Nashville's retirement television.
This week, we're going to talk about part one of a three-part lesson about building your financial house. The reality is, everyone that is retired or building towards retirement is building a financial house. Whether or not you have a plan, and you should, you have a plan, because not having a plan is not a plan at all. But as you get close to retirement and you talk about your financial house, there are really three levels with many components that we want to make sure that you have a solid plan for. And the first one is the foundation of your financial house, which is always going to be the income that is going to support your lifestyle in and through retirement. And you know, retirement for the baby boomers' parents was significantly easy. They retired with very little debt. They had pensions and Social Security payments that came every month. Those Social Security payments actually got cost of living adjustments. But a lot's changed in America today for the boomer generation. They have, in some cases, debt, and in many cases, pensions have gone away. So a significant more amount of their income in retirement is reliant on the decisions they make with their personal assets. So how do you have a solid income foundation in retirement? Well, we believe that there are three components to the foundation of your financial house. And the first one is Social Security. And that may surprise you, because financial advisors like me are not compensated to help people with Social Security choices. However, there are 2,800 rules that apply to how you and your family take Social Security. And Social Security is going to account for somewhere between, on average, 20 to 30% of your income needs. And if you make the wrong choices on Social Security, it can cost you a significant amount of money, and not only reductions from your Social Security, but also taxes for potentially the next 20 to 25 years. So you want to make sure that you have a Social Security strategy that considers all of the rules and how they apply to you and your family. If you think about it from this perspective, you would never take 20 to 30% of your portfolio and say, I don't want to have a plan for that. So make sure that you have a plan for maximizing your Social Security for you and your family. That's very possible, and it's crucial. It's the cornerstone of this foundation, of this income that you're going to rely on for the lifestyle that you've worked so hard for the last 20, 30, in some cases 40 years. But it's not just about Social Security. There are some people in America that are still fortunate enough to have a pension. And how do you take pension choices? Do you take the full pension, which means that if one of the spouses takes the full pension at the death of that spouse, that doesn't continue for the next spouse? So you probably, in these situations, if you're fortunate enough to have a pension, want to make sure that if it's possible, at least part of that pension payment goes to the surviving spouse. So making sure you're making wise choices on Social Security and pension. But what if you make wise choices on Social Security and you are fortunate enough to have a pension, or if you don't have a pension and you're left with what we call an income gap, which most couples in America experience throughout retirement. Now, what's an income gap? By definition, it's very simple. An income gap is simply the difference between what comes into your monthly budget from fixed and guaranteed sources like Social Security and pension and what you require to support your standard of living. So if your standard of living is $5,000 a month and Social Security and pension bring you $3,000 a month, you have a $2,000 a month income gap that you've got to make sure comes in regardless of what happens to the market. Now, most people would tell you just to take your portfolio and diversify it in the market and do things like the 4% rule, and that works really good if the market's going up. But what if the market isn't going up and you still have this income gap to fill? Well, that's where we believe you utilize the tools, and there are many of them, to give you and your family predictable income, sustainable income that's inflation adjusted, that regardless of what happens in the economy and the market, you have the peace of mind of knowing that you're going to have the income that you and your family need to support your lifestyle no matter what happens in the economy. These three crucial building blocks, having solid answers, knowing where your income is going to come from as you retire, is crucial to your future. If you have questions about any of these things we've talked about, give us a call in the office or go to our website.
For your tax tip this week, I'd like to talk about deductions under tax reform. One of the key provisions of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act was the increase in the standard deduction. The standard deduction was effectively doubled for taxpayers. Statistics compiled by the IRS indicated that over 70% of taxpayers took the standard deduction versus itemizing in 2017, and that this percentage went up to over 90% in 2019. I frequently get two questions regarding deductions. The first question is, am I losing deductions like mortgage interest paid and my charitable contribution under the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act? The answer to this is no. These items are deemed to be included in the new higher standard deduction. The second question I get is there a way that I can itemize deductions under the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act? The answer to this question is potentially yes. This can be done through a concept called bunching. Bunching means paying 2 years of certain deductions in 1 year, typically real estate taxes and charitable contributions. This can allow you to itemize deductions every other year while taking advantage of the higher standard deduction in the off years. You should meet with your CPA to determine what strategies are available for you to maximize deductions in your particular situation. That's your tax tip of the week.
You're watching Beacon Retirement Strategies, Nashville's retirement television.
Hi, I'm Pete Benson, and I would like to share a complimentary copy of our new book called Succeeding with Money, A Financial Plan for Life. This book is available on Amazon, but if you'd like a free copy and you've saved a minimum of $200,000 for retirement, then be one of the first 5 callers right now to call in and schedule a complimentary consultation. you'll receive a free signed first edition of our new book, Succeeding with Money, A Financial Plan for Life. These books will go quickly, so call us right now. I look forward to seeing you in the office, and remember this, peace of mind in retirement requires a plan.
You're watching Beacon Retirement Strategies, Nashville's retirement television.
Hi, and welcome to this week's Retirement True or False. Gentlemen, I have some great questions today, and Pete, I'm going to begin with you.
Okay.
My first question is, most retirees have planned properly for their future medical expenses. True or false?
That's false. You know, what we're hearing is that the second biggest concern or worry for retirees is unknown health care costs. They don't know how much they need to save. We've seen different studies that show for a couple, 300,000, 350, 400 and some thousand. The good news is at our
Pocket,
firm,
that's out of pocket, right?
out of pocket.
Beyond.
So you've
Yeah.
got to pay for Medicare monthly and yearly, and then out-of-pocket, long-term care. There can be a lot of different out-of-pocket costs. And so over a period of, say, 20 plus years, then easily it can be $300,000 to $500,000. And most people don't have a special account. Now that's our health care costs for, $500,000 just in case. But Medicare and medical costs are going up much higher than regular inflation. And it is a big concern, and it seems like we're paying more and getting less. And so having a plan for that is important. And the good news is, in our comprehensive wealth analysis, that blueprint we've talked about before, we actually have a section in there now about health care. And it's going to give a couple or a family or a person, an individual, what their likely costs are so they can actually plan for it.
And John, we've talked about this. Over half of Americans are going to need some specialized care, either in their home or at a facility. And I think the number is actually higher than that. Correct me if I'm wrong. And people might not necessarily be planning for those set of events.
Right, yeah, they're not. In fact, it's a 70% risk is what the number is. And
That's huge.
Huge. Less than 7% of people have planned for it. And if you don't plan for it, and in particular if you're married and the first spouse goes into facility and you're not prepared for that, you can leave a surviving spouse literally living below the level of poverty. We've seen that many times. And the truth is there's no reason for that. And when we talk about financial planning, this all connects. When we talk about things like having a respectable fee structure, if you can lower your cost, and many people can, let's say you can lower your cost 1% on your portfolio, you can actually find the money to pay for something that's a 70% risk to your estate.
So I want to make sure I'm hearing this correctly, because I think people at home need to hear this. You can do something about this, and it isn't terribly complicated, but you need to sit down with somebody who can genuinely help you do this.
And the sooner the better, because the younger you are and the healthier you are, the less cost you're going to actually end up paying. So it's too important to just turn a blind eye to.
Right. And one thing, Mark, I'd just add to this too is if people have had some health issues and they're older, that doesn't mean there are no options.
Right.
There's always an option. May not be the perfect option.
That's
but
really
there's
important, by the
always
way, because I'm
options.
sure there's some folks saying, it's too late for me.
It's too late.
And it's simply not the case.
That is not the case.
John, my next question is for you. If you leave a company, you should leave your 401k there as well. True or false?
Well, that can be true, but for most people that's going to be false because they're what we call orphan 401ks. They leave a company, which happens pretty often in America today. The years of the 30 and 40-year careers are pretty much over. And so people will leave that 401k. It's kind of orphaned. They don't watch it because it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. And 401ks are great benefits that good companies offer employees to attract them and to retain them and to allow them to plan for their future. But they're also not always, but mostly limited in choices. You might have 20 or 50 options available to you when in fact there are thousands upon thousands of options. And so when I'm investing money, when I'm thinking about my own personal money, I want to have as many options as possible. I want to have the best options for me and my family. So having limited options in an orphan 401k is probably not for a lot of folks the best thing for them and their families.
So let me piggyback on there as well. How effective is that 401k if I'm not adding dollars to it every month? Isn't that kind of a reason alone to sort of move that money?
It's not live money anymore. It's kind of dead money. And nobody is managing or watching that. And so it's really up to the investor or client, and they're often not really sure what to do. And so, yes, having somebody that monitors that looks after it. The advantage to changing it is the options for investments become much greater than within the 401k. I mean, they serve a great purpose, and certainly there's a time to keep the money there, but there's also, if you're getting close to retirement, better options to protect and provide income than typically what a 401k offers.
And just a quick a cap on that, if you would, Pete, because we got to wrap up the segment here. Is it complicated to do it?
It really isn't. If you know, if you're working with somebody, it's not, and people worry about the fees. What's it going to cost me? What about taxes? Oh my goodness, am I going to do something wrong? Is that company going to come after me somehow? I took money away from them. None of those things are going to happen. It really is very, very simple, but you do need to do it the correct way so as not to cause a taxable event, and we help families do that every single day at our office.
Pete, John, thanks so much. Hey, great topics today. Give us a call in the office. Let's start a conversation, or go to our website. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Welcome to this week's Master's Money Moment. Today's topic is about investing. The Bible has a lot to say about the topics that we discuss each week. Proverbs 21:20 says, "The wise man saves for the future. In the house of the wise are stores of food and oil, but a foolish man devours all that he has." Again, a wise man saves for the future. I think that's great information that was put in the Bible hundreds and hundreds of years ago. And again, at our office, what we talk to our clients about is the importance of investing and starting as young as you possibly can and begin to save money. Have an emergency fund. That's very important because things are going to happen. And when they do, you need to have some money set aside. And retirement comes sooner than you would ever imagine. And the earlier you start, the better off you're going to be. Get consistent early in your investing. The Bible said it first many, many years ago. We say it at the Beacon office each and every week. Make sure you're investing consistently, because in retirement, you're going to be thankful you did. And that is today's Master's Money Moment.
You're watching Beacon Retirement Strategies, Nashville's retirement television.
Having no clear retirement plan is a mistake I see a lot in my financial planning office when I meet with someone new. It is extremely rare that someone comes in and has a clearly defined income plan for his or her retirement. One way you'll be able to get a clearly defined income plan is to talk to an independent financial advisor who specializes in retirement planning. Not someone who is specialized in getting you to retirement, but someone who is dedicated to getting you through retirement. If you don't have a clear retirement plan, then be one of the first 5 callers and you will receive a free complimentary planning review. There's no obligation, no cost if you have at least $200,000 saved for retirement. Here's what you'll receive: a free report to sort through your current fees, a tailored plan to help protect your investments, a tax analysis to reduce your tax liability and increase your cash flow to your family, and a custom income plan to support your lifestyle. So call now for your free, no obligation Beacon Retirement Blueprint.
This week we're going to be talking about the differences in revocable and irrevocable trust. Trusts come in all shapes and sizes, and many are formed with specific purposes in mind. All living trusts are either revocable or irrevocable, and there are some major differences between the two. A revocable living trust can be changed at any time. It's common for the grantor, or the person who's created the revocable trust, to personally act as trustee, managing its assets after the trust is formed. The downside is that all assets transferred to the trust are still considered your personal property because you continue to have absolute control over them. This means that creditors can still reach them and that they are included in your taxable estate. On the other hand, an irrevocable trust can't be changed by the grantor after it's been signed. For the most part, it's forever, although there are a few exceptions.
You can't take property back that you've placed in an irrevocable trust. You can't act as trustee and manage the assets in the trust. That being said, giving up that control in return gives you asset protection from liabilities and creditors, and the assets are not included in your taxable estate. So it's important to understand these distinctions, and that's your estate planning tip of the week.
Because my wife and I started off young and really didn't have any money, and we had to squeeze every dollar out of what we had, I began to self-educate because it was a necessity. My back was up against the wall, we needed money, so I needed to learn how to stretch every dollar. So as I began to read books about it, and I bet I had read 30 books about finances before I reached age 30, I really began to get a passion for it and think, man, this is so cool, I love this. I would finish one book, I'd read another. In my history, my grandparents were entrepreneurs, owned their own business. My uncle owned his own business. My dad owned his own business. So there was just something planted, a seed there early on that it would be cool to own your own business. I watched them. I worked in the business as a teenager with them and kind of got a feel for what that was all about. A lot of our family, my family is in the lobster business. Sardines, scallops, lobster, all those things people love. My wife's father was a lobster fisherman for 63 years. And so lobster fishing's always been a big part of that. I found out early on though, as much as I enjoyed going out, that really wasn't my thing that I felt like I was equipped for or that God had wired me for the rest of my life. And so, you know, probably the first person in my family or as far back as I can see that actually went to college, finished college, got a degree and went a different direction. But I'm glad I did, but I love the fact that that was my background. How cool would it be that I could continue to counsel people and do what my degree actually was all about, but have it be in the area of finances? I didn't know what that looked like then, but when I graduated, I kind of had an idea that in the future, that was going to be the direction of my life.
You're watching Beacon Retirement Strategies, Nashville's retirement television.
Are you worried that your financial strategy is missing something? Today's retirees and pre-retirees will need to utilize the services of a qualified legal and tax team, as well as a financial advisory firm. The professionals at Beacon Capital Management, Beacon Accounting and Tax Services, and Knight Legal are committed to being your comprehensive wealth and retirement planning solution. And here's the best part. All of these services are under one roof. That's right, let Beacon Capital Management effectively coordinate all of your retirement, legal, and tax planning needs. Our unique combination of licenses, registrations, and specialized education qualify us to work with a wide variety of investments. We can create a solution for virtually every retirement scenario, no matter how simple or complex. Call us today and experience the Beacon difference. Imagine all of your investment, tax, and estate planning questions being addressed around a single table. Call now for a complimentary retirement analysis. There's no cost and there's no obligation as long as you have saved at least $200,000 for retirement. Call us now, and remember, at Beacon Capital Management, peace of mind in retirement requires a plan.
You're watching Beacon Retirement Strategies, Nashville's retirement television.
Guys, great show this week. Hey, thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, and if you want to contact us, give us a call at the office or go to our website.
And remember this, peace of mind in retirement requires a plan.